Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today I am talking about why I stopped selling things, why I shut down Humblebee Beauty and Skin. Now you might not even know that Humblebee Beauty and Skin existed. So I launched it back in 2016, shortly before my book came out, and I made sure to do everything right. I filed all the forms with Health Canada, I got insurance, I made sure that all of my labeling was compliant with Health Canada regulations. I even had some phone calls with Health Canada about some things I wasn't sure about to make sure that I was doing everything properly, everything on the up and up, which of course, if you're going to do this sort of thing, is exactly how you should do it. Make sure you are doing everything legally, compliantly, and in a way that protects you from liability, heaven forbid something go wrong. I launched an online store in mid-December, and I didn't really do a huge announcement because I also didn't really have a lot of inventory, but I was kind of at the point where I was like, let's make this happen. And if you've been making things for a while, I'm sure this will sound familiar. You start making things and everybody you know starts to encourage you to launch a business selling this kind of thing. It starts to be a very, very common, sort of like, almost like a praise, like encouragement, like this stuff is so good that you should sell it. Without a huge amount of understanding about everything that goes into selling things, but it's just like, yeah, I love your stuff, and I think you should start a business. And in my case, I was hearing this all the time, not only from friends and family, but from hundreds and thousands of blog readers. And so in December 2016, I was thinking, I got a book coming out and I'm doing this full time now, and like now's the time to try this. Okay, so I launch mid-December 2016, and come about spring of 2017, I finally get my act together and I make a bunch of inventory, so I have a bunch of inventory to sell. And I still don't announce it. There's a link at this point in time to Humblebee Beauty and Skin in the main menu of Humblebee and Me. It said like store or shop or something. Did not get a lot of clicks, but it was there. Like, it wasn't hiding, it wasn't a secret. I did link to it in some blog posts. It was in my introductory email dispatches. Like, it wasn't a secret, but I also wasn't, sort of yodeling it from the hilltops that you could buy stuff from me. And the fundamental reason I wasn't doing that was because if I did, people might buy stuff, and if people bought stuff, I would have to pack up orders, go to the post office, and make more inventory. And I fundamentally did not want to do any of those things, which is, I feel like, a hugely massive, maybe not like a red flag, but just like a, hey girl, what you doing? So over the last 2 years and change, it just kind of chugged along quietly in the background. I might get an order a month, and a lot of the time when I did, it was like, oh, now I have to go to the post office. I really don't like running errands. Eventually in January, in the midst of a re-inspired decluttering, I realized that I really needed to declutter Humblebee Beauty and Skin. It was not bringing me any joy, and well, it certainly wasn't taking up very much time because I wasn't letting it take up very much time because I fundamentally did not want it to succeed and then require more of my time. Yeah, I decided to shut that whole thing down. I sent out an email to my surprisingly large, all things considered, email list for Humblebee Beauty and Skin, announcing that if you bought anything within the next day, I would throw a bunch of extra stuff in your order, and then I was shutting down. So I got a flurry of orders, people got heaps of freebies, I got all of my inventory out of my house, and oh my goodness, does it feel good. Shortly later, I donated all of my excess shipping supplies, the tissue paper, the boxes, just gone out of the house, and this has possibly been the best thing I've ever decluttered. The feeling of relief was just positively addictive. Like, if other people have a thing like this that they can get rid of, I can't recommend it enough because oh my god, it's incredible. So now it's gone and I feel 1,000 times better. So I thought I would run through quickly all the reasons why I stopped. If you're thinking of starting, please think about all these things that I hated and think about if you'll be okay with them, because they are an integral part of selling handmade skincare, and it's okay to just love it as a hobby. You don't have to start a business. So the first one was just, I didn't like it, and honestly, that's got to be enough, right? I really, really, really did not enjoy having a store and selling stuff. Thing number two, I really did not enjoy the making process when I was making things to sell. The worry about contamination and cross-contamination and cleanliness and liability. it completely killed the joy of creation for me. I had to maintain a separate inventory of all of the ingredients that I use just for selling things. So that took up a bunch of space and then ultimately ended up being really very wasteful as well because I never really made a ton of inventory. Fundamental flaw here of me starting a shop. But yeah, a lot of that inventory ended up going to waste, and a lot of it I ordered in like very optimistically large quantities that I will be challenged to finish before it expires. I really didn't enjoy the fuss over presentation. If you look at humblebeeandme.com, you can tell that I very obviously enjoy presenting things nicely for photographs and whatnot. But when it came to making, 100 tubes of lip balm and every single one of them needing to look perfect, have a straight, perfectly applied label, have a nice top that didn't have a divot in it. Yeah, wow, what a pain in the butt. Not my cup of tea. I don't like errands, so every time I had to go to the post office, especially in the winter, I just sort of like, ugh. I really like traveling, and so I felt like I was pretty much constantly putting a notice on Humblebee Beauty and Skin that orders placed between like X date and X date wouldn't be shipped until I got home because I was constantly going places. And yeah, when you're a one-person operation for an e-commerce shipping operation, yeah, you're the only one packing and filling orders and taking them to the post office, and I like to travel a lot, and so I was definitely creating a situation in which first-time customers were unlikely to have a really great experience because there was a super high chance that I wasn't going to be in the country when they placed an order, and then they weren't going to get their order for a while, and just... I also found that when people inquired about my having a store, they really only were usually interested in one product, and I definitely didn't sell everything that's on my blog. Not even close, not even a fraction of a percent. So even when people were interested in buying something from me, they usually wanted to buy one specific thing, and generally they would say, I'd like to buy it from you once to see if it's worth it, and then I'm gonna start making it myself. So you can imagine that that's not a great way to sustain a business, a ton of one-off customers who, even when they love your products, will never buy them again. So yeah, there you go. There's kind of the story of Humblebee Beauty and Skin and why I don't sell stuff anymore, and why I think anybody who does want to sell stuff needs to really think long and hard about the parts of this hobby that they like. If you're like me and you enjoy learning new things and making things that might fail and rarely making the same things twice and playing with new ingredients, selling stuff just might not be for you, because selling stuff usually means making the same things again and again so that you're keeping your store in stock, and it means that there's no little like dash of this just to see what happens, because then it won't match your ingredient labels that you've already paid a bunch of money to have printed. So it's kind of, yeah, just things to think about. I tried it, I didn't like it, and I stopped. I do have a full blog post on things to think about before you start selling. That is worth a read. It is, less about my personal experience and just kind of more objectively like, here's a bunch of stuff that you need to think about, things that I learned about as I was getting set up. So I'll throw a link to that in the description box below. It's definitely worth a read if you are pondering starting up your own business. I'm not totally writing off the idea of ever having a brand, ever selling things again, but I don't think I would be the one dealing with the manufacturing or with the shipping. I am much more interested in formulation and in the design. I loved doing the branding for Humblebee Beauty. I think I did a really good job, if I do say so myself. I'll throw a link to my portfolio page that shows off that branding in the description box below. But yeah, that has been my experience with the store. I think you can probably tell that it's definitely not what I'm excited about, but I did try. I learned a bunch of things, and I now have a pretty good story to tell anybody who asks, why don't you sell stuff? Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe. I'd love a thumbs up, and if you're looking for ways to support Humblebee and me, I do have a Patreon page, so I'll throw a link to that in the description box below as well. I'd really appreciate it if you checked it out. But thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.